Hello learners and educators, my name is Janya, and today I'd like to shed some light on a topic that is very important to me by asking the question, to what extent is a hot dog a sandwich? Before I get into this, I'd like to ask the question, how many people believe a hot dog is a sandwich? Hands? Alright, okay. An important place to start when discussing an object's classification is its history. History can give us purpose, it can guide us, and it can show us our foundations. First, let's talk sandwiches. The tale begins in the 18th century, with John Montague, the 4th Earl of Sandwich. Sandwich at that time referred to the Hawaiian Islands. John was a British statesman, he was a profligate and a gambler. He was traveling around the Eastern Mediterranean when he came across grilled pita breads, canapes, and sandwiches, which were served and eaten by Greeks and Turks as an appetizer. He adopted the dish and made it popular with English gentry, and the concept became associated with his name. From there, sandwiches began appearing in cookbooks and spread, becoming a household staple due to how convenient they were to eat. Now, the hot dog is a messier and less known history. It traces all the way back to Homer's Odyssey, circa 700 BC. Its popularity in America, however, is credited to German immigrants who brought household staples like the Frankfurter and Dachshund with them. Many want to claim the fame for the creation of the bun. Stories from all around, usually describing how it was to make the sausages themselves easier to eat. In the end, the bun's creation is once again credited to German immigrants. Now that we've covered where our concepts arose from, let's talk reasoning. How do we sort out a seemingly negligible concept like sandwich classification? To find the answer, we first must ask the question, what is a sandwich? Thanks to the advancements of technology, all it takes is a quick Google search to tell us that a sandwich is an item of food consisting of 2 pieces of bread with meat, cheese, or other filling in between them, eaten as a light meal. This definition gives us 2 essential concepts that make up a sandwich: the structure of 2 pieces of bread and something between them, and the use of virtually any ingredient. That brings me to this lovely chart with descriptions that explore these concepts. On one side, we have our range for structure, and lining the top, we have our range for ingredients. Now, our range is structured into 3 levels: purist, neutral, and rebel. Starting with structured purism, it states that a sandwich has to have 2 pieces of bread with toppings in between, 2 separate pieces of bread. Structure neutral states that the container must be on either side of the topping, but not necessarily 2 separate pieces. The structure rebel can contain any food enveloped in any way by containing food. Now, ingredient purist states that the sandwich must have classical sandwich toppings: meat, cheese, lettuce, condiments. The ingredient neutral says that it can contain a broader scope of savory ingredients. And the ingredient rebel says that it can contain literally any food products sandwiched together. It also gives us examples that range from the hardline traditionalism of a BLT being a sandwich, and the radical sandwich anarchy of a Pop-Tart being a sandwich. But that's not important, because today we are here to talk about the true neutral on this chart, the hot dog. And it fits in a range of neutrality completely, as it has a container on both sides that aren't necessarily separate, and ingredient neutrality of savory ingredient being the hot dog. Oh, sorry. There's one thing all examples on this chart have in common, however, and that is convenience, which leads me to sense perception. Human beings have a tendency to put everything into categories. We do this subconsciously and consciously because it makes it easier to process the world. We take something new and compare it to things you've seen previously, and then handle it according to the classification it falls under. There are positives and negatives to this, but I'll be discussing a few of the negatives. A negative you may be familiar with, one that we've discussed in Genius Hour, is labeling. Labels often carry a stereotype, an expectation for whoever bears one. My best friend, who is an openly gay man, has been denied several opportunities simply due to the assumed stereotypes that come with being gay. Interviewers have taken extra note of it and questioned if he was a partying type, even though he's someone who has received his associate's degree in high school and graduated top 10 of his class. In other situations, labels have led to the exclusion, bullying, and sadly, violence. There are also real-life stakes, even for something that may seem inconsequential. In 1971, the state of New York passed a law that placed a tax on food items of a specific price range. And a popular food item that fell in that range was, you guessed it, hot dogs. A committee was even formed in an attempt to repeal it, as those who the tax affected were those with low incomes, as hot dogs were a low-priced lunch. The unclassified nature of hot dogs made them open to taxation. okay, sure, it matters, but why should this matter to me? I mean, come on, hot dogs? Well, it really comes back to how we categorize things for the sake of convenience. Not only do we categorize concepts and objects, but we categorize people too. The truth is, doing that holds us back from opportunities, from experiences. Looking past initial expectations brought by stereotypes, we can find a treasure trove of unique aspects in history that make each and every individual special. I've spent a large sum of my life being ashamed of who I am, afraid because I was so focused on the judgments of others, and of the shame that repeatedly got me. I've experienced a lot of self-discovery, and though I'm still not great at it, learned to love myself. I, as cliche as it sounds, am proud to say I am quirky, wild, weird, and unlike any other. I challenge you all to face yourselves. Be proud of who you are, of the journey that you took to get here, because it makes us all so wonderfully different, because I believe in individuality.
My question was, would it be still considered a sandwich if it was wrapped in lettuce? Because, gluten-free,
Radical sandwich anarchy says yes.
But, what if it's wrapped and it's a burrito?
I mean, did you see the sandwich wraps up there?
But it's not a sandwich wrap. It's a
It is.
sausage wrap.
If you want to call it a sandwich and it's a wrap and you're wrapping it, then it's sandwich.
It's
Yes,
a
Al?
wrap. That's why they call it a wrap.
Al? Are you okay?
Why? Why would you propose that a Pop-Tart? It's obviously a ravioli. We've had this discussion.
Raviolis are sandwiches, Alec.
Raviolis are not sandwiches. Okay,
How can they?
hear me out. No. No.
Any other questions?
Ravioli. Ravioli is a sandwich?
Okay, I don't know if the point of this is whether or not we should really seriously consider the sandwich
I mean,
status
it
of
kind
hot
of
dogs.
is.
She brought it up.
It was my whole presentation.
I mean, I like the overall message. I really do.
Okay, I have a serious question. What did the whole I believe in individuality, why did you choose hot dog to present that idea?
Because it seems like hot dogs don't seem to fit in anywhere else, you know what I mean? So we try to fit it into sandwiches, we try to fit all these things in the little groups, but they don't really fit sometimes. And that's okay. Because I mean, we still like hot dogs, don't we?
Love
Good job. Yep.
I love your presentation. I love how it started. I thought, oh, this is different. I think a lot of us have been here a while, and learners who've heard a lot of presentations. I thought, okay, this is a little different. And John, really, only you could make it that presentation the way it went. And I love the connection. I love how you just kind of laid the foundation about individuality. What labeling, what fits in, what doesn't. And you use hot dogs, sandwiches, all of that. And then you got to where you start sharing about how you felt, about people and in general. I think it was a great strategy, and I love that. That was very effective.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Yes, Constance?
I don't know. I really liked how this came together because I remember us talking about it at the very beginning, and I was like, oh my god, what is this gonna be? But then once you told me all the meaning behind it and what it really means, it really speaks how Mr. Moon was saying to who you are, and you did kind of change the tone of the presentation, which was really important. And I was really proud of you for sharing that. It was really good job.
Thank you. Any other questions?
You made me have to have some faith in your process because Johnny wasn't even stringing me along for a week or so of just straight-faced, no, it's about hot dogs. This whole thing, it's about hot dogs. I'm going to go into the history of it. I'm going to be talking about our ideas of categorization, how everything has to fit into it. I'm like, okay, I know you're going somewhere. And you did this very creative way, like Mr. Moon was saying, of tricking us into thinking about bigger ideas than just hot dogs and sandwiches and what it means.
Please don't cry over hot dogs.
Is this your last thing before you
Oh, no,
graduate?
I don't know why, but they put in my English will be like early.
So, what are your plans after you graduate? No one asked that question in this
Leo has his hand up,
presentation.
too.
I vividly remember looking over your shoulder and seeing the words, "Is a hot dog a sandwich?" on your screen, and the only thing I could think of was, what are we in for? But you surprised me. I thought it wasn't going to be like that. I thought it was going to be all about the hot dog. I didn't know there was a meaning behind it, so good job.
Thank you.
Jonia, I loved your presentation. I thought it was very creative. I love how you kind of spin everything on its head so that you ended with what maybe most people begin with. But I also think it's a topic we all can relate to. You made it very relatable, so 'cause we all know what a hot dog is, and we all, thinking about all of that. And I thought, the end, I thought that was very powerful. You kind of sharing your, like, what you really thought. It was powerful because it is you. Like, you lived that, and also we felt that you meant it. And that was
Thank you. Is it a real question?
It's a real question. It's not.
Okay.
So, since you got English 4B, you have been bringing up very controversial topics such as this, in, like, even outside of school. And, I really do have to wonder, how did you come by this information?
I can say a lot of research definitely went into this. I can clarify.
You actually, like,
I have MLA cited sources. Yes, I researched.
why would you do that?
Because it was important to me, as I stated at the very beginning of my presentation.
Yep.
I don't know if you stated this or whatnot, but why a hot dog? Like, why did you just wake up and say, I'm gonna make my presentation about why hot dogs are a sandwich?
I really don't have an explanation for that because I think it was just a passing thought at some point. I remember I tried to do this presentation previously last year, but because of some conflicts of interest, I ended up not being able to do it the way I wanted to do it, so I finally got the chance to do it this year, so I took this opportunity.
So, Johnny, first of all, you are a bright spot in Victory Place, and I love your quirky. I always love to hear your input on anything. I really do enjoy spending time and hearing your thoughts on things. And this presentation was no different. And I thought it was really clever the way it was crafted, because when you started out with hot dogs and sandwiches, the whole crowd leans in like, what? What is this about? So it was a great way to catch our attention and then keep us like, where is this? We knew it was going somewhere. I think most people knew, okay, this is going somewhere. Where is this going? So you kind of captivated us and then took us on this journey. I thought it was very clever the way it was done. And I also I really love to cook, and I really enjoy food, like talking about the history of food. Like, I loved your research. I could appreciate that. And I really appreciated that chart. Did you create that?
No,
Okay.
I did not.
Okay.
I apologize, but I could not find a proper source for that image itself. I came across it when I was looking for images for sandwiches. So
I love that, because there's something really that appeals to the science teacher in me about, because we categorize things in science all the time, but coming up with the descriptions and the definitions, and that appealed to my science teacher side, seeing that laid out, like, oh, okay, what's the definition of a hot dog? So, or how does it fit? So I really loved it.
thank you.
Yeah, Johnny, you did actually a very good job of doing your presentation, especially when you mentioned about food in different cultures. If you look at the perspective of the hot dog becoming a sandwich, I mean, it's more or less like a metaphor, like a white tribe presentation. You can almost think of. But a very important thing I noticed about that is that when you look at food and different things, it involves a lot of cultural issues that come with people try certain flavors, mix. All that is cultural. And also, another very important part is perception. Even some of the most educated societies around the world always fall victim of making perception and assumptions about people of all kinds of cultures and running out with a picture of what you think somebody is. We still fight about that in the United States. However highly educated we get, the more, prejudice we get. For some reason, I don't know why, because we are all human beings. We all bleed, we all die, we all eat. There's nothing really to do in life, rather than enjoy your hot dog or enjoy your sandwich. That's my only best conclusion. I mean, that's the best I can think of.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I was just bouncing off what like Mr. Conlon was saying. It's kind of like what the sandwiches like kind of meant, like the metaphor behind it. Because like same with like what Mr. Smith was saying is like I was just like, why are we talking about sandwiches? Like all the things we just talked about why sandwiches. And so I just like I don't know. I really liked how like he did tie it in within the metaphor, making like okay like a hot dog is like an individual like category. Like it's like its own like thing that stands out because like it doesn't really like it doesn't fit anywhere else. So I really liked the metaphor in there like a lot.
Thank you. Garrett?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I like the presentation. The whole question of is a hot dog a sandwich? That type of stuff, I love that type of stuff. Thinking about trivial stuff and like making it a huge debate is one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, I really like the presentation. It was really good.
Thank you.
All right, give Johnny another round of applause.